The Authority Syndicate, the show for positioning yourself as the #1 authority in your industry, quickly turning your prospects into clients and raving fans. Here is your host, T. Allen Haynes.
Welcome to the Authority Syndicate. I'm your host, T. Allen Haynes, and I have a very exciting guest for you today. We have Mr. Hiett Ives, and he's the Managing Director of Show Dynamics. It's a business-to-business trade show marketing company, which he founded in 1989. And the mission of Show Dynamics is to assure quantifiable ROI from clients' participation in business-to-business trade shows. And the company provides individual turnkey trade show successes as well as corporate trade show program management and overall marketing program consultation. And client services are provided both domestically and internationally to a diverse variety of product and service industries. His career successes are both in staff and consultant positions, including organizing and managing the first ever National Clear Air Conference at Houston's Astrodome and staging an international oil equipment manufacturer's participation in over 25 international business-to-business trade shows in 12 countries on 5 continents. Opening the first ever offshore oil museum and building, launching the entire marketing program for an asphalt company in existence in October 26. And some of his abbreviated clients are British Airways, Browning Ferris Industries, Compaq Computer, now HP, as well as the Ocean Star Offshore Museum in Galveston, Texas, the Houston Sports Association, Eurotech USA, Martin Asphalt Company, and the Archdiocese of Galveston, Houston. Hiett, are you with us today?
Yes, sir, I am. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for taking the time out to spend some time with our audience because you are definitely an authority on trade shows.
My pleasure.
So let's just get kicked right off here. What would be the biggest or the most common problem with your target audience or with people that are trying to do trade shows?
It's the biggest problem is getting return on investment from a trade show. So many companies go to shows because they quote have to be there, their competition is there, they'd be conspicuous by their absence there. But once they go without a plan. And then they wonder why it is not successful for them. So what I do is work with them on the front end, during the show, and on the back end to make sure that they get the ROI, which is trade show leads. And in fact, my subtitle is Show Dynamics Trade Show Leads Guaranteed. And I guarantee my clients qualified leads from any business-to-business trade show where they use my services.
That's, trade shows are huge, and I think just as you identified that companies fall short on actually getting the qualified leads. So that's an incredible service that you offer to those people.
It's fun. I enjoy doing it, and it's I focus down on the result, which is getting qualified leads, and the rest sort of falls in place. I used to try to be all things to all people, and now I work with people that are focused on getting qualified leads from trade shows, business-to-business trade shows.
Can you tell our audience, could you give us just an example how you get a qualified lead at a trade show?
I ask the right questions. I ask open-ended questions. And I basically require the show delegates to qualify or disqualify themselves. In a very busy show, it's as advantageous to ask an open-ended question of somebody who says, I don't know what you're talking about, or that's not my area of expertise, or that's not my area of responsibility, and let them keep walking. because you basically tell them, fine, get out of here, find somebody, been nice visiting with you, but get out of the way so I can talk to the right people. They laugh, you laugh, but they're out of the way. And on the other side of the coin, when you ask the right question to the right person, they're going to say, hadn't thought about that. Yeah, we have a need in that area. You need to talk to so-and-so. So
Okay,
it is using a skill that it took me about 1.5 years to self-teach myself, and that is asking open-ended questions. How do you use this in your operation? Who's responsible for this in your company? Where could you see this product fitting in your operation?
Mm-hmm.
You have to assume that every person walking by your booth is a prospect, knowing full well that they are not. However, when you treat them as if they are, you get a whole lot more out of it. And you also talk to more people.
Okay. So what would be 2 or 3 most common questions that your target audience would, or your prospects would ask about what you do or how you do it?
Well, they ask me, how do you guarantee your results? And basically, I guarantee my results by forcing, if you will, the person that I am talking to qualify themselves. I'll give you an example. I took a client who was an international freight forwarder, and we were at an oil equipment show. And in the middle of the afternoon of the second day, 2 gentlemen in business suits were almost past our booth. And I sort of yelled after them, all right, who's hauling your oil field equipment? Because that's what we were looking to do. We were trying to find out the people that are moving the delegates' equipment. I said, so who's hauling your oil field equipment? And I said it in sort of a flippant way, and one of the guys turned around and said, we don't have any oil field equipment. Well, I could have said, okay, late afternoon, second day, let him go. He said, well, what kind of equipment do you have? And he yelled back at me. Now he's starting to turn around, and he said, ceramics. I thought, well, that's strange. So, well, what kind of ceramics? Well, by this time, he and the 2 men had turned around, and my client had a pop-up back wall with a montage of jobs, and he looked at the back wall and said, sort of like that and sort of like that. Well, on this montage were 2 pictures, one of a huge ceramic kiln being unloaded off of a ship, and the second was that same kiln being put on a super lowboy carrier. Well, it turns out these 2 gentlemen, who happened to be the president and senior vice president of marketing, were the company that owned these kilns that my client 3 years earlier had moved into the U.S. Unbeknownst to them, unbeknownst to us, neither of us liked the middleman we had to work with. So before those 2 gentlemen left the booth, there was a handshake agreement on all subsequent shipments. And that was because I had asked a series of open-ended questions that basically got them to not only fully qualify themselves, but identify themselves as a previous client of my employer.
Wow. So that's very interesting. What would be, so if nobody is familiar with getting the right prospects, what would be a common do-it-yourself solution that your prospects might try to get qualified clients at a trade show?
All right. The first thing they can do is change their header. If you go to most trade shows, 85% of the exhibitors have the company name emblazoned across the header. Orange Research of Texas. Of course, that tells everybody exactly what they do. And I'll give you a perfect example. One of my clients was named Animate, A-N-I-M-A-T-E. and they were going to the Independent Hardware Owners Association, Ma and Pa Ferd that owned the dry goods store. Mm-hmm. Well, the first year they went, nobody came near them because, Ma was saying to Pa, that sounds sort of kinky, Pa. We better steer away from those people. Well, because you tell me, what is Animate? Maybe it's an animation company. This was back in the days when computer dating was just starting. So that some people thought, well, it's a community. Well, the next year, using me, their header said automatic pet feeders by Animate. Animate stood for Animal Mate. Their product was a large, round bowl with 4 hermetically sealed compartments that opened on Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning, so you could leave Poochie or Kitty or whatever animal you had at home over the weekend when you took the weekend off. And the second year, they had a line a mile long because Ma is now saying to Pa, well, hell, our people have dogs, cats, hamsters, guinea pigs. Damn, we need to get that sucker in our store. So tell the clients, tell the prospects what you do before you tell them who you are. The other, another example at the international, huge show, international show, Orange Research of Texas was exhibiting. Well, their header became the longest header I've ever done, which says differential pressure control equipment by Orange Research. I didn't know what differential pressure control equipment was, but literally standing in that booth, I had people walk by and stop dead in their tracks in the middle of the aisle and said, where have you people been? You actually do differential pressure control equipment? And it sucked people in because we told them what was in it for them before we said who we were.
Perfect.
So that's the number one thing that people can do. And the second is, ask the right open-ended question.
Very good. That's great advice. So what would working with a professional like you greatly improve the chances of a successful trade show?
I didn't understand the question.
Why would working with a professional like yourself greatly improve the chances for success at a trade show?
Well, I'd say force them. I would ensure that they do all of those things. Everything I've talked about is easily done, but it's something out of the ordinary, and unless they have somebody like me overseeing the implementation of that, it's highly unlikely that they're going to do it. By employing my services and my company's services, they'll have the right header. They'll have a collateral piece that will be 8.5 by 11, and it will feature no more than 3 of their services, because I am a strong believer in the 80-20 principle. 80% of your business comes from 20% of your product line, 20% of your output, 20% of what you do brings in 80% of your income. So I force my client, I help my clients focus on those. In fact, I can remember a telephone service company that had 10 items on their website. They said, we offer these 10 products and services. And I said, no, you don't. You will feature a maximum of 3. Well, they yelled and screamed. We went in with 3. An hour into the show, the president of the company said, oh, thank you, Hiett. Man, I'm able to focus on my positives, and I'm getting so much business. And you know what? I'm getting actually ancillary business on that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But rather than be all things to all people at the show, they are the focused providers of their 3 best products or services. So that's what I help a client do, is focus their message and then effectively get that message across after they've asked the right open-ended question, they can then give the right answer to that qualified prospect.
Perfect. So if somebody wanted to contact you for help in their trade show, to wrap this up, how could people contact you or get a hold of you?
Well, they can call me at 832-372-6900. That's 832-372-6900. Or they can email me at Hiett Ives, and that's spelled Hiettives. That's Hiettives at showdynamics.com.
Perfect. Well, I want to thank you for appearing on the show today. And to our audience, reach out to Hiett if you're interested in getting a ROI on your trade shows, because he is definitely the authority on that. And thank you again, Hiett, for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
This concludes this version of the Authority Syndicate. Tune in, and we'll see you the next time.
Thanks for listening to the Authority Syndicate with T. Allen Haynes, the show for positioning yourself as the #1 authority in your industry, quickly turning your prospects into clients and raving fans. We'll see you next time on the Authority Syndicate.